Welcome to Turmeric and Tequila with your host, Kristen Olson. Questioning a better way, one gracefully disruptive conversation at a time.
Welcome to Turmeric and Tequila. I'm so excited today. You know, I am longtime marketing and branding professional if you listen to Turmeric and Tequila, and I'm super picky on my CPGs, consumer packaged goods. There is tons of stuff out there. I always say eat whole foods first, but as you know, in our society, in this day and world, we need some packaged goods to help us along the way. And I think the good ones really do complement our lives. So I'm excited today. We're bringing on a graceful disruptor of the sparkling water world. If you've been around for the past 5 years, you know, sparkling water has kind of taken over the scene, and there's a lot of questions around natural flavoring. So we're going to unpack a lot of that. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce Ted Grant, co-founder of Viveau, hailing from Canada. He's a Michelin-Star chef, entrepreneur, and a ton of other amazing things. Ted, welcome to Turmeric and Tequila.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Well, let's jump right in. Before I give a little bit of background, but I really like to hear about you guys from your perspective. So give us a little background on you and your journey, kind of getting to this point. Obviously, you're an accomplished chef and whatnot, but give us the background around the biz and kind of why the way you are.
Totally. So the great majority of my life has been about sourcing real ingredients and making incredible food from those real ingredients. Dates back to my grandfather being a farmer, my grandmother on my mother's side being an incredible cook, and learning and growing up appreciating real food, real flavors, and knowing where things came from. So the most important thing for me as I've gone along my journey, even as a college student, I didn't eat hot dogs and chunky soup. I actually, really spent time making meals. The whole time of my 20s and 30s, I've been really focused on just inspiring that real food movement, whether it's in a professional kitchen, whether it's in post-secondary education where I was for a long time, whether it's just in my kitchen with my kids. I think it's really important that people look to source real ingredients because those are the ingredients we've trusted for centuries. And now we have this. Okay. Yeah, thank you. And now we have this retail landscape that is just so cluttered with thousands and thousands of products. And we all know that trust, transparency, and honesty, those are the kind of core values of consumer packaged good companies that we challenge and we question as consumers. And so for me, following with the alignment of that real food movement and really following, that path of mine from when I was a young kid to where I am now, I wanted to be one of the first to really get a consumer packaged good out, that the focus was all about truth and transparency and trust. The focus was on sourcing, story, and the procuring of real ingredients. And so with the category of sparkling water being so cluttered and so saturated with the same thing, which is usually tap water and natural flavors, I thought there must be a way to bring a real food movement to sparkling water. There must be a way to capture what a fruit should really taste like in a can without all the added sugar, without all the calories, and without compromising by using something fake. And, I'm not going to go on a huge deep dive on natural flavors, but, they're really not. You can taste it as a consumer of these drinks. You can taste that that doesn't taste like a cherry. That doesn't taste like a lime. That doesn't taste like a lemon. Mm-hmm. It tastes like something that is just, to me, I actually don't even understand how people consume them. It's as if they have wax in their mouth or something is, they've just, their palate has been trained to accept what isn't real. in their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And the finish on it. I mean, the finish of a real drink should taste like, you should say, wow, that evokes like the muscle memory of when I first picked a cherry, or when I first had grandma's strawberry pie, or when I first had some blueberry dish. It really should be about tasting something real. And as a culinary and as a former Michelin-Star chef, to me, I'll never compromise. And so, while we do have a little bit of fructose, at least we have something special. At least we have something real. And what I challenge people to do is, when you're drinking whatever sparkling water you have at home, or your favorite, you just hold it and look at it and think about, how is it made, and do they really genuinely care about me and my interests, and are they, was there a lot of pride, and was there a lot of sophistication and care that went into that drink, or is it just tap water in a can with a fake flavor?
Yeah.
And so for us, my co-founder and I, he's a vintner winemaker. It really had to be about disrupting the category with real fruit, with real taste, and coupling that. What's so special about Viveau is coupling that with an incredible mineral water. So we have a mineral water that's loaded with magnesium, manganese, calcium, bicarbonate, and you add that to the antioxidant-rich fruits, and you've got something really great.
I love all that, and I appreciate the explanation. I think you brought up a multitude of really great points. One, I really like that the passion started early, as a young human, and then even in college, coming off the farm. I wish you were in our college dorm cooking up good meals, because we were definitely eating like the chunky soups, and even stovetop to this day. I can't believe that's considered a food, but that was our specialty, like stovetop with gravy and chicken. That was like the special meal. If anybody doesn't know stovetop, it's literally a stuffing you put together, and it's like a foam. It's weird. Anyways, I like that it's kind of come full circle, and you touched on the market being saturated. Consumer packaged goods are so deeply competitive, and it's a really hard space. The consumer has evolved, and yet I think we're still blinded by the things that we are sold and told that we need. So I do think our taste buds have been edited a little bit. Before we get into the consumer side of things, I think that's a really important conversation. Of all the opportunity, you're an entrepreneur, you've run around the professional business block, and the passions from being, Michelin-Star chef, and that passion for real ingredients has always been there. Of all things, why sparkling goods? Or why sparkling water? If you could have gone into anything, I certainly saw the space for evolution and a way to do it better, but why did this stand out to you so much amongst all the other things you probably could have done?
It's a great question. And I looked at a lot of different ideas, and I've also developed other companies and other recipes. But this one jumped out at us as an incredible opportunity, because my business partner and co-founder was born in Switzerland. And the most popular drink in Switzerland was the Schorle, which is comprised of 50% apple cider and 50% incredible mineral water, and it's lightly sparkled. And so when I started to formulate as a food science, I have a food science background too. When I started to formulate and taste how good these products could be, I thought, and also tasting the competitive set, all of the different 0-calorie drinks, or all of the different, potentially Pellegrino products or whatever, I thought, wow, there is a real opportunity to bring this competitive set something real. Everybody's doing the same thing. It's either juice from concentrate, or it's fake flavor. And, there had to be an opportunity to break through with something gastronomy focused, with something real.
Yeah.
And so that was what really laid the groundwork and the foundation for why we would move in this direction. It was the popularity of the drink in Europe, coupled with the fact that there's nothing like it in North America.
Right.
And then to build on what is becoming so meaningful and so important to people, and that is, where does it come from? How do I trust the brand, the truth, the transparency, the honesty? To build on that, so to be able to explain to them, come and poke holes in us, come and find a flaw. We want you to, because we work closely with our farmers. We pick our fruit. We don't, boil old bruised fruit. We we ethically source. We have this incredible mineral water source that we'd love for you to come and walk with us and see how pristine and how perfect this is in a rural Canadian environment. Like there's something that, has captivated people, and certainly something that, made us gravitate to this competitive set, saying, not even is this an opportunity to build something that, can be wildly successful. Not only is this an opportunity to build something that might be worth something one day, that really wasn't the goal. And I know lots of entrepreneurs will say, oh, he can't be telling the truth. It is the truth, because my passion has always been to bring real food to people, to work with farmers, to create memorable experiences for people through food. And so what a great opportunity to do it through beverage.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think your partner was right on time, given his background, because I think you do need some of those logistics alongside the passion piece to survive even getting a product off the ground. If you ever walk the halls of Expo West or some of these major shows, I mean, it's just, the competition is unbelievable. It's like if you're an athlete and you're going to warm up for the Olympics and there's thousands of athletes around you and you realize this is the top 1%. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. So I really give hats off to anyone jumping into the consumer packaged goods space, because nowadays, as you said, it's really got to be passion based. It can't just be investors being like, okay, well, our margins are, X%. This looks like a good business deal. And you're completely disconnected from the cause. It doesn't work like that anymore. And how you so eloquently highlighted, the consumer has evolved, and especially our young humans, they can dig into the minutia. And if the brand isn't from the heart space and the brand isn't humanized, meaning you share your story, you share your why, you share your passion, our young kiddos will dig on to TikTok or YouTube and be like, oh, here's the dude that started it. Here's where he's from. Here's his actual ethos and resume. This is why. And you know what? I might have $10 for lunch and I'll spend $6 of it on an organic green shake or whatever, because I know this guy or this woman and what they're doing. And I'm a conscious consumer. And that's so different, I think, than the generation we probably grew up with, but there's still a major gap of companies doing things their traditional way they've done it the past 100 years, and the consumer has not changed. So when I started to read your guys' story and what you guys were doing, I was so excited. I'm like, these guys get it. Like they're consumers of their own things, which, as funny as that sounds, I think a lot of these big brands still don't consume their own products. And you're in the journey and hustling it as we all are.
Yeah. I mean, I know lots of people who work for the big brands that sell in the sparkling water space, and they'd never drink their product. And, my fridge is loaded with it. And of course, I have to tell my children or the neighborhood children or whatever, like, look, let's slow down here. Too much of a good thing.
Yeah.
Let's have a couple a day. Like, let's just take it easy here. But, my wife loves it after a jog, and I drink it throughout the day. And so does all of our team members. And what's so cool about that is you start to build a tribe because of the passion that just exudes through everybody who's a part of this journey.
Yes.
And when you build something that is so special that you want consumers to taste, it really just comes off as if, wow, this is pretty cool. And so oddly enough, people want to rally behind it. And we have lots of people who look to work with us because we share that common interest with them, which is around transparency and truth. And what we describe actually is evident care. And evident care is that everything we do, we practice evident care. It's we love our farmers. We love our culture and our team environment here. We love our consumers. We really just care.
I love that. And I think that is so I'm a marketing branding consultant for almost 22 years now, which makes me feel very, we'll go with mature versus old, but it's seeing the evolution of the consumer and also the evolution of some businesses. It's been remarkable. And I love some of my conversations that are the challenging ones, meaning when I talk about to them, I'm like, listen, it's a vibe and it's an energy and it's things sometimes that I can't fully quantify and tell you that it matters. But when my companies that get it and understand like that X factor that is, you can't see it, but you can feel it and and when you're bringing in a tribe and you're attracting those like-minded humans, that is your sign that this is a go. And more importantly, I know everyone's an entrepreneur. When you go in, you're obviously there to make money. Without that, the business doesn't run. But if you're not enjoying the journey and you're not genuinely passionate about it, there's a missing piece. And it's, even if you make $1 million, you're kind of seeking for that next piece of fulfillment. And the only finite source we're all dealing with is time. So if you're not conscious about how you're spending your time, who you're with, and what you're doing, you're missing it. Because even if you die with billions of dollars, like that was it. So when I hear, like, as you're saying, like your family's involved, the community supportive, like it's starting to cultivate this whole like-minded tribe of humans on its own, that's a pretty magical thing. And if you can make some money on the side and do that alongside it, that's amazing. And so I hope fellow companies, perhaps even competitors, can hear this and take note, because this is the way things are going. And we can all be a little happier. That's what the whole world needs on a larger scope outside of what we're consuming.
Yeah, totally. And what I love is everybody has a different journey. The ones that you're speaking to, and the ones that align with that message that you've just shared, but everybody has a different journey, and some people just want to sell in their own local community.
Yeah.
And that's really amazing. It's all close to home. It reduces your carbon footprint, all of those things. And what's so neat is that the path to entrepreneurship enables everybody to carve it out and navigate it in the way in which they want to.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's lots of options these days.
There's lots of options. There is tremendous support for entrepreneurs who are doing it right, who are supporting local, and who are sharing that message of collaboration and evident care, and those who really make it about a whole community story, which we have at Viveau. There was times when we first created, we would create the first batch of Viveau, and it would be loaded into my Honda Pilot, and I'd be carting more glass and that, bottles around than the, authorities would probably want me to, or that the car could even handle. And, they're being unloaded into your garage or your basement, or they're being transported to local stores. And, there were weekends where my kids would set up a Viveau, stand, kind of like a lemonade stand. And, you chip away at it. And it's one by one, it's day by day. And you can't think that you can build something super special, overnight. It takes a long time. And, it requires that, you're very devoted and very committed. But it requires that, I hope this will always be the case, but that the founder and the founders or anybody who's been involved from day one just continues to get out there in the community and listen to your consumers and engage with them, and continue to share that passion and that enthusiasm for what you're trying to do. And I think that also ultimately inspires others to do the same. And as I referenced earlier, it was never about selling it or making money or any of these things first. It was about giving the consumer something better. They deserve something better. And so when people taste our drink, they actually say, oh, wow, like it is so rare that someone would taste our drink and not go, I love it. And I don't say that like with a tap on my shoulder or pat on my back, sorry, but it's about, oh, wow, I can't believe something like this exists. I've been thinking that something like this might be able to be produced at one point. I've been a sparkling water drinker my whole life. And I don't like that it's overcarbonated. Viveau doesn't do that. I don't like that it doesn't taste real. Viveau tastes real. It's this pattern that you hear of people who were wanting more, and we're slowly finding them.
I think that's the key. Listening to the consumer, I think, is really good. But even if that's been happening in the past 5 years, I still think that's a new age concept, unfortunately, because if you are listening, the consumers will tell you what they want, and it can streamline your process as an entrepreneur exponentially. It's really hard to pivot in the process. But on the flip side of that, when you're kind of in like the guerrilla marketing and you're doing it all yourself in that grassroots phase, I think sometimes when you have like venture capitalists or a bunch of money to skip over it, you really miss some key intel of where we need to shift early on, and it can cost you once you're in it, or people get so stuck and they're like, no, we're going to keep doing this way, and then it just eventually doesn't work because the intel was in the beginning, you skipped right over it. So I think those beginning processes and really like experiencing that initial hustle and being on the ground level is so critical, because that's usually, I think, when you really need to make those big pivots or evolutions, and you can make it happen when you're still small and listening directly to the consumer that's right there.
There is everything you've said is absolutely spot on. There's nothing like hearing the direct feedback, and whether it's a small sample size or you're getting into quantitative feedback, it's the way to build the brand. I've said from day one that this brand will be built by listening, and by guiding the entire process with our ear, and learning from those who have come before us, learning from those who have done it right, and just absorbing, embracing, and being a sponge for all of that knowledge and wisdom, and applying whatever is best practice for us moving forward in order to provide consumers with this great product, and get it into more hands and get more people tasting it. And so, yeah, the results are all about, our results are all about listening.
Critical words of advice right there. I think not even as business skills or entrepreneurs, but life skills. That's words of gold. I want to talk a little bit about sustainability, because as a startup, money is tight, resources are tight, and you're wearing so many hats. To do things the right way, sustainability specific as far as farmers and taking extra time to pick the fruit. Chipotle, I think, was a good example that did it really early, did it well early on with sourcing grass-fed beef, and it cost them exponentially initially. Obviously, they're the mega giant that they are now. But how did you guys really find the mindset and the resources to really lean into sustainability, and highlight a little bit why that's so important to you, and why you guys are going to maintain that throughout?
It was all about our farming community. Farmers works tirelessly. They work so hard to create these incredible products, commodities, and people I don't think make a connection when they buy it at a supermarket. They just see piles of apples and piles of oranges and things, and they don't know where it comes from usually, and they don't make that. There's no association or connection to just how hard it is. And unblemished fruit often doesn't make it to, or pardon me, blemished fruit, unblemished fruit all makes it to the store. Blemished fruit doesn't always make it to the store. And so there's an opportunity for value add agriculture. There's an opportunity for waste stream reduction. And, companies like ours who really start from the beginning, building those instrumental kind of relationships with the farmers, that's what we did, and that's what this is all about. And sustainability is obviously at the forefront of our thinking with this, and it's about community dollars. It's dollars staying in the community and supporting those within the provinces of Canada, or if we bring this drink to the United States, it's working with local farmers. Viveau is really about supporting local wherever we go, and supporting communities wherever we go. And so you think about you come back to the competitive set, and all of those drinks are just fake flavor and tap water. Well, what is that doing for the community, other than hiring a few people at a big plant or at a head office? Where our sourcing story touches the footprint, the fabric of this, of the many provinces of Canada. And it makes a significant difference in people's lives. And we've actually now just joined the circular economy, because when we press our fruits, our pomace now goes it feeds black flies, it goes into pet food. We're developing a couple of recipes for it. So it's exciting. We're a no waste company now. And so sustainability is so important. And then an achievement that we had this year out of Colorado is the Clean Label Project. And
Yes.
So we're the first sparkling water in North America that has been given the Clean Label certification, which means that we're pesticide free, heavy metal toxin free, plasticide free. And we have to have a certain antioxidant value to contribute to that certification too. So this is very important to us. Climate change is real, and it's very important that we're doing everything we can for the earth, and for the generations that are going to come behind us. And so also on the sustainability platform, it's about paying farmers a fair price. It's about taking less margin, like you addressed at the beginning. There are many inspiring entrepreneurs, Caitlin Smith of Simple Mills, She doesn't use natural flavors ever because she just doesn't want to pass that on to her consumers or her family or anyone. She doesn't want anybody eating or drinking natural flavors. And so, and she talks about how she takes less margin. And all of us, I mean, Viveau could use concentrate and we could use flavor things with natural flavors, or we could put added sugar in or whatever to make things cheaper. But that's not what it's about. That's not what the story's about. It's about a whole community coming together to collaborate on this real food movement and everybody winning as a result.
Yes. I love this so much. And this is why I've done marketing branding forever. And I started the podcast literally so I could bring Varsity Humans on to come start telling the truth, because the magic in this is not only the people that get it in the tribe that it's building, but having the platform to take some time and fully explain the why and what's going on. I think we're in this quick consumption world, and I'm talking about digital media versus like food or fuel. It's where it's little minute snippets, TikTok or commercials or like things on Spotify, but podcasts are so beautiful, or even longer YouTube videos, because you can really dig into that education piece and understand a company. And so when you're seeing a side-by-side product that is cut corners, isn't sustainable, blah, 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 but it's only $1, and then you see one that does go the extra mile and it's $5, you are inclined to buy the $5 one because you understand. So I love where we are in this world where we can have these conversations and people will actually tune in and listen and care. And that in turn will influence their buying decisions from their heart space. Like I think that the whole consumer world and the really just like the way we buy things is changing, because now we're starting to understand that process. Oh, the fruit, it's not just shiny apples sitting at the store. This impacts the entire community and our world. And it's like, dang, well, I might not be able to go donate a bunch of money to a certain cause or to sustainable farms, but I can spend $3 more on a juice and a company that matters. So I think we're in a really exciting time where we're going to see some massive shifts in the next 5 years. And I will be shocked if you guys do not have offices in Boulder, which is like a natural consumer package, little corner of the world. So if you do,
and you're right. And you're spot on. And you vote at the supermarket. You vote for what's right. You vote for change. You vote for sustainability. Mm-hmm. You vote for people who are behind a brand. Unfortunately, it takes us a little longer to educate the masses, but it's people like you and it's champions like me and many others who, we're following that have done it, before, and, hopefully many more that will inspire as well, the two of us to and help pave the way. Yeah. Because it's the most important thing that you can do is vote at the supermarket for the right packaged goods. And it will take us longer than any of us would like to educate the masses, but we're going to get there. Mm-hmm. It's one building block at a time. The part of what really resonated with me from what you shared is people are going to find that you can buy 12 cans of something in our space for cheaper. You can buy 24 cans for the same price that you could buy 12 cans of ours or something like that, right? But what's important to note is that it's cheap for a reason. And that is what I hope people will ultimately connect with. Cheap food is cheap for a reason. It's not good for you. Mm-hmm. And, the only thing that really is cheap that is good for you is tap water. And so I encourage people, drink more tap water and then have something that is really special, like a Viveau. You don't need to have 4 or 5 tasteless 0-calorie drinks a day. Why don't you just choose one great one?
Right.
And 4 or 5 would be the equivalent of drinking one really delicious one. And so that's the thing, like just cut down on the consumption and choose really good tasting products that are really good for you. That's what I hope people will understand at some point, over the next years to come.
I think so. I think people are really starting to understand that less is more, and that this idea that you need to eat like a 4 pound value meal that was super cheap and then you walk away like you just got hit by a truck in a food coma. I think they're starting to like get away from that more is more and eat, and it's value size and it's a big gulp the size of a gas can. Like you don't need all that. And we're not really designed to consume like that. I think in America, that's like our specialty of just making it like this big ass American size something. And that's how the old school kind of ate. And now I think they want light meals, and kiddos are walking more and using their bikes more. And, they're outside, and Boulder is a phenomenal example of that. But the culture around it is changing. You don't need to be walking around with a 38-ounce big gulp filled with, something that's red dye 40 and you just feel like crap. I think that's changing and evolving. I really do.
Oh, totally. And you look at, there's 3 things that you need to live a healthy lifestyle: exercise, sleep, and diet. And you look at these people who are walking around with these giant energy drinks. Just go to bed earlier. Like, go for a walk after you finished your meal. Get a decent sleep.
Yeah.
For the most part. Like, we have a 250 ml can. But society has made people believe that you need this huge volumes, as you said.
Yeah.
People are, it's too small. No, you don't need that much liquid.
Yeah.
You don't need 400 milliliters. You don't need 333 milliliters. You don't. A 40-year-old man like me, I'd be in the bathroom all the time if I'm drinking that much liquid.
Well,
so just cool down on the volume of what you're taking in, and just enjoy the moment. Like, I think that's the other thing, is that when it's dirt cheap, you're like, oh, I'll have another one.
Right.
Oh, I don't need. Like, you go around, I've gone around a social event and seen the 0-calorie sparkling flavored waters, and you pick them up and they're all 3/4 or half full. And you're just like, there was nothing memorable about that drink for people.
No experience.
But then it's so easy. It's not a big thing because, they didn't finish it. Oh, who cares? It costs 69 cents a can, like, whatever.
Right.
And it's just, that is a sustainable nightmare. That is a complete waste of water, of the extraction of the aluminum. Like, it just goes on and on. Why don't you just buy less and buy something really good that you want to finish?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the whole conversation on price point psychology, I think, is kind of a magical one, because you just don't put value to things that aren't expensive. So that's a whole other podcast. But I like what you said of, like, we are conditioned to think we need these things, but I encourage people, because sometimes to break our habits are hard. Like, this marketing's been fed to us forever. And that's why I felt responsible to start the podcast as a branding marketer, because I'm like, wait, am I a bad guy? I'm like, clearly I'm super intentional about who I work with and why. Like, we're old enough now to we can be a little bit more picky, but I still, like, oh my God, I felt a responsibility. And I think disrupting people's behaviors is hard because we've done it this way forever. So I encourage people, step one, and this is actually a personal story I just shared. I was just in Vegas, and I'm not an energy drinker, but we were staying up all night and having fun. I was actually out there with my mom, who's more of a rock star than I am. And she got a couple energy drinks, and I was like, are you a 17-year-old boy? Like, what are we doing right now? And she's like, well, no, it's a long day. So we drank them, and we were sharing one. And this was such a great practice for anyone looking to get off energy drinks or anything like that. Pour it in a glass. When you see what color it is and how it fizzles, I think when you're drinking out of these coolly designed cans or whatever, the second you see it in the clear glass, I was horrified. I'll be the first to admit we did drink it because we were trying to stay awake, but the buzz, because I'm not a huge caffeine drinker, was so much. So if you're slow to break off some of these consumer packaged goods that look good in a package, put it on a plate, pour it in a glass, like, look at it, smell it, take a second before you consume it. And it looked like gasoline fuel. I mean, it was pretty remarkable. I don't drink them regularly anyways, but just like you said, we're so disconnected. I think a great step one is put it in a glass and look at it. And I think on the flip side of that, put Viveau in a glass and look at it, and you can see how something looks real before you even taste it versus a cup of gasoline.
It's what I love about Spindrift, who's like our cousin or our however you want to describe the relationship. I mean, we just have a little bit more fresh fruit than Spindrift. We have a little bit more fruit flavor than Spindrift, but Spindrift, I admire them. I think they're a great company because they're inspiring a real food movement too. And what I love about them which aligns totally with us, is what they communicate on their website or on their packaging is what you're saying, is pour it out.
Yes.
And so when was the last time you saw a squeezed blackberry be clear?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're thinking about this set of fruit flavored sparkling waters. Pour them out. Are they all clear? When was the last time you saw a raspberry that was clear, a blueberry that was clear? I mean, there's something not right here, people. Yeah. Like, that is not real. There's nothing that is real about that. And so that's what I like about what you're sharing is just pour it into a glass. See what you think of it. Does it, like, if something is fruit flavored and it's clear,
yeah,
geez, I'm certainly not drinking.
Or read the ingredients too. I'm not a big, like, I don't eat chips I do eat some. I actually do like chips, and Boulder has some phenomenal options. But I was reading Doritos the other day. I was at a picnic. I try and, like, I was super into labels and stuff back in the day, and yeah, chips are phenomenal. But if you really look at, I was reading Doritos, and it's been a minute because, again, I don't eat them regularly. It was high fructose corn syrup, red dye 40, like even things I know that are in consumer packaged goods were in chips. Like, it was stuff, canola oil, and like all these things. I'm like, holy crap.
Autolyzed yeast extract, which is MSG. They just changed the name on things.
Yeah. Like, I think you're a good reader.
I'll be the first to say a Dorito tastes great. You know, I grew up having Doritos. I don't eat Doritos anymore because of the ingredient list.
Yeah.
But I do like chips. But this is the whole message that I think you and I also try to communicate, is it's okay to indulge. It's okay to have some of those things in your life.
Tequila. Yes.
Yeah, it's some tequila. My wife's a big tequila lover. Actually, apple, Viveau, and tequila is incredible. But
I love it.
It's okay to have these things in your life, but just remember that you also need to exercise and you need to sleep well, and that balance enables you to be your best self.
Yes. This is why we're here, Turmeric and Tequila. It's got to be all things. And I actually think going too far of one thing, like you said, there's too much of a good thing. You don't need to have 50 pounds of tequila. You don't need to have 50 ounces, 50 pounds of turmeric, 10,000 Vivos. Like, it's got to be a balanced approach in all things. And if you eat Doritos once in a while, no big deal. But I think just get back to reading the labels and understanding what you're consuming and see if you still care. And if it bothers you, I think 9 times out of 10, if you read it and you really understand what it is, you'll probably be like, yeah, I have a couple, but I don't care that much. You either pay up front where it's more expensive, but it's healthier, and you're paying less in your health insurance and you're enjoying your life, or you pay less for the food up front. It's cheap. And then you're going to the doctor all the time because you don't feel good, or you're tired, or whatever. So to me, the payoff is kind of the same. You might as well make the right decision up front. But that being said, you can enjoy yourself a little bit too.
Yeah, absolutely. I just love the T&T name. It's just it's such a perfect, mention of balance. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, longtime athlete, we had to find, like, you can only be so dialed in nutrition and training and strategy. And then it's like, I just need to have a cup of tequila, go to bed early, chill, like, and find it out. It's kind of a perfect segue. I really did want to ask, and you already kind of mentioned it, but have you guys crafted some cocktails around these phenomenal drinks? Because a good mixer with a good spirit is a magical thing.
For a long time, we tried to fight it, and we thought, okay, but we're for kids, we're for senior, we're for everybody, because it is really the drink that the whole family enjoys, and it, from the age of 2 or 3 to my wife's grandfather's 104 this October.
Wow!
He chugs the blueberry. So we thought, geez, we're not really a mixer, but then, of course, we started to, test this out and started to get into the peak of curiosity was, oh, wow, let's try it with this, this, and this, and this. And it just started to taste so good. And so then we got approached by Tito's Vodka on a partnership. And of course, that's one you can't turn down because Tito's is awesome. The whole staff, the whole story, Tito's story, amazing. And so it aligned really well. And so you mix Tito's with any one of ours and they're amazing. But also, we love the Rocks Tequila. We love that Ryan Reynolds Aviation Gin.
All the big names, put them out there. Yes.
Yeah, I shouldn't plug all the big ones because I do love the local spirit companies too. But you mix it with bourbon. It really, there's so many special ways to mix it. And we didn't necessarily want to be looped in with Fever Tree. But there are grocers across this country that put us right next to Fever Tree because they know what an awesome mix we are. But we also want to encourage people that, that's the great thing about it, is that there's so much versatility with this drink. It is an incredible hydrator after you work out. It's great to put in a kid's lunch. It is absolutely, fantastic as a pick me up in the afternoon. And, and then you're going to throw it into a cocktail. Like it really has a tremendous amount of diversity. And that's what's, another point that's so exciting. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. Well, I think, people, because I do, as a marketing professional, you do have to separate youthful initiatives from, plus 21, and even with turmeric and tequila, something will get blocked from some things because it says tequila, and I get it. That being said, I think as conscious consumers or parents or whatever, you can understand that it's like, yes, we drink this and it's healthy and we use it as a craft cocktail. And, it's, there can be ideologies there that are expanded and understood without our traditional mindset of like, we got to separate it. And we're not promoting alcohol to kids. And that's not the case. And kind of like you said earlier, when it's craft and it's good, you drink less. Well, if you're having, a tequila soda and it's a crappy tequila and a crappy soda, which I would never do, but you might have 5. This one, it's a craft cocktail and it's $12 to $15. You might have 2, or you might have 1, and you enjoy it and enjoy the experience. And it's not about, getting super buzzed. It's about enjoying the craft situation that's there. So there's like a whole mindset, I think, around the alcohol and party take that takes it to a new level when it's a really expensive quality situation. And a lot of drinkers, like a lot of athletes are drinkers, and it's not about 52 beers or, 100 calorie Michelob Ultra so I can drink 10 of them. It's like 2 cocktails that I can drink post race or enjoy it. Like those are some of your drinking audience. They're athletes and they're fitness humans. Yeah. They're out here doing stuff.
And the other thing is that we're finding a tribe of people that don't drink alcohol at all and want something more special in a social setting.
Mocktails. Yes.
You want to do a champagne toast. What better drink than to put a nice glass of Viveau into a champagne to enjoy with all of the people who are having a real glass of bubbly, like a real glass of champagne. You feel just as special. You feel like the circumstance is right. You take some of the other fake flavored sparkling waters and you'd be like, well, geez, I don't feel like I'm a part of this. Like it just, this isn't special.
Right.
And so that's Viveau just creates that, that opportunity to feel special. And we've had non-alcoholic weddings and there's been so many opportunities for us to be involved in that whole, mocktail, non-alcoholic community too. And and so, to complement that with the whole alcohol side, it's the perfect drink for, any occasion.
All things. I love it. That's perfect segue, because I think we have 2 sober bars like in Denver. Maybe it's one in Boulder, one in Denver, and they've done really well. I actually know one of the owners of one of them, and they've really taken off. I think that'd be an excellent pairing for a company like yours. Are you guys doing that? And are you doing any other sort of like really cool creative marketing initiatives? Like I love that you're doing this podcast. I saw your videos on YouTube. Are there strategic partnerships that are creative or creative initiatives that you're doing since you've been in the industry so long and you're kind of mixing it up?
Yeah, I mean, we're starting to see that the food service industry is really gravitating to the product. Hotels, they wanted a check-in. They wanted to put it in rooms to make people feel welcome and special. We're seeing hospitals gravitating to it because they want something that's better for you. That they can rally behind the sourcing. We're seeing cafes come on in droves, like just tons of cafes, because when you go to a cafe, those who aren't coffee drinkers or specialty tea drinkers, they want something really cool. They don't want just mainstream, blah. And so we're seeing a lot of that stuff happening, strategic partnerships that are really being unlocked. Because of the quality of what we're doing. And again, because of the story. As far as marketing initiatives go, our team I'm so fortunate. We have such an incredible team of marketers led by Tammy Hazen, who has tremendous experience in the consumer packaged good industry, and they're disruptors. They're trying to they're creating opportunities in which we can disrupt and we can be a little bit radical, to show people that we're doing it differently, and that we have a stance and we have a position that we feel real food needs to have a spotlight on it and needs to be showcased and needs to be highlighted. And the fact that we're a 2-ingredient beverage, and 2 ingredients that and that you can trust and where they come from, that unlocks all sorts of opportunities, and that creates some very simple marketing opportunities.
I love it. I think all of that really does start from that energy and that passion and that initial just open-mindedness and way to be transparent. And a shout out to Tammy, because that's how Ted and I actually crossed paths. And Tammy and I crossed paths probably 10, 15 years ago. And I loved her as a mission-driven human then. And I think I saw her post about you guys, and that's why we crossed paths, or I initiated this conversation. So it was really cool to see that. Yeah, 15 years ago, I'm like, I think this human really gets it. And I love where she's going, what she's leading. So to see this come full circle, it's kind of like you have your energy from the get-go, your Tribe of Humans builds, and it never really changes. It only gets bigger. So this is kind of an exciting full circle connection and seeing the industry grow from my perspective. So I'm deeply grateful to see, a small spark of light grow into like this big glow of a whole company, and now disrupting a major sparkling water space. It's a big deal.
Yeah, well, thank you. And Tammy's contribution is, really is unparalleled, and she's going to be a big part of us moving into the United States market, which of course is very relevant to your listeners. I remember I first shared this drink about 1.5 years ago with one of your fellow Boulder or Colorado citizens, and Todd Wollison, who's connected to the Clean Label Project. And Todd absolutely adored the drink. And when you get that kind of endorsement from somebody of that, who's had that level of success, founding Izzy, and that level of success in consumer packaged goods, it makes you feel, really special, and it makes you feel like you're doing the right thing to get those endorsements from individuals like that. And that was really what catapulted the idea of, let's look south of the border. Let's look to local farms down there. Let's create the magical moments for consumers down there that we're doing in Canada. And so it's exciting to think that we're just months away from coming down.
I'm so excited. I love all the themes around this. You hear special a lot. You hear transparency a lot. You hear good energy. I think if your heart's in the right place and you keep showing up, the right people come in. You obviously have to have your formal strategy and some key players in the game. But I truly believe that if you lead with the heart and you build your team correctly, anything is possible. We'll wrap up here because I want to be sensitive of your time. But is there any good advice to anyone out there that's thinking about starting a company, an entrepreneur, something that you've learned over the years that you would share with someone that's like, should I do this? I love it. I bleed it. I know it's hard, but I really want to jump into the mix.
There's so much. And, listen to podcasts like How I Built This, and listen to some of the guests that have been on Turmeric and Tequila. You've got to be passionate about what you're doing. You've got to be resilient. And you hear that all time and time and time again. The one thing that I guess I would want people to know is try your best to find enough money to do qualitative and quantitative research before you try and get your product to market. That's not always easy, because we're scraping by with the dollars from our family or the dollars from our mortgage, whatever it might be, just to get something viable on shelf. But what I would encourage you to do is really try to find a group that specializes in CPG research to help to guide you to the right packaging, to help to guide you to the right competitive set, to help that will guide you to work with the retailers that you should really kick off with, and go slow. No matter how good your product is, it takes a lot of time, as I referred to earlier in the show. It's there's a lot of boxes to check. And if you try to spread yourself out, thin too quickly, and you don't have the marketing dollars to support it, it doesn't matter how good your product is. It's just going to collect dust. At the end of the day, consumer packaged goods are marketing companies, and they have to find their tribe through many different marketing initiatives. There's sampling programs, there's promo on shelf, there's out of home, there's digital, whatever it might be. And that takes a lot of money. And yet to create really good creative takes really talented people. So go slow, chip away at it. Eventually, as you keep your head down and keep yourself focused, you'll start to pick up, momentum. You will start to have really great people gravitate to want to be a part of the journey with you. But it takes sleepless nights and time, and just go slow.
There you go. Write all of that down. It's so many things. It's your experience, but I couldn't agree more. Lead into these humans that have done it before you and collect off all of their intel. I think that's priceless. And as you did, be on that ground level from the get-go, so you can experience what people will be experienced that you lead one day, and you can modify and make these maneuvers early on. But Ted, I'm super excited. I think you're going to be on the Today Show in the mainstream, putting it out there. I think you're going to be in Boulder. So my lips to God or universe's ears. I'm going to make predictions, but I'm pumped about what you guys are doing. If you're ever in Colorado, please call me, and perhaps we can toast some tequila and or just a plain Viveau. And cheers to graceful disruption.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Really appreciate it. And thank you to the listeners for being us, on the show. And I think you should keep listening, because you're doing some amazing things. And I'm just honored to be a part of Turmeric and Tequila.
I appreciate that. That comes with a lot of gratitude from my end, because hearing that from someone like you means a lot to me. Where can we find you guys? Instagram handles, websites? I'll of course label it out,
so
but if you're listening,
at Drink Viveau. And we have an e-commerce site now, so you can order online. If you're listening in Canada, there's really not a supermarket that you can go into that you won't find us, but there is a where to buy page on our website, drinkviveau.com. And soon enough, we will we'll find our tribe in south of the border in the United States market, and that will be really exciting too.
I love it. Well, let's keep in touch. Let me know how I can help the cause. Please tell Tammy I said hello. Hopefully she remembers me. But I think we'll all cross paths at some point, serendipitously slowed down the road. But keep crushing and keep up the good fight. We all need this.
Thank you so much. You too.
Have an amazing rest of the day. Thank you, Ted.
Thank you for joining Turmeric and Tequila with your host, Kristen Olson. Tune in next time, and don't forget to subscribe on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.